Welcome, everyone, to the Broker Room Podcast. Today we have Brad Binder joining us from Sarasota, Florida. Welcome, Brad.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you being here. So, Brad, right off the bat, why don't we start from the beginning? Tell us a little bit about how your journey began and what led you to where you are today.
Started in the mortgage business at a young age, came from a family that grew up in it as well. Out of college, basically dove into the wrong side of the business as I see it, learned everything not to do, and moved over to mutual lending, built a pipeline of portfolio business, grew it to about 35, 40 million a year consistently of predominantly builder new purchase and existing dwelling homes. Really the opportunity to scale wasn't possible, right? I could go over to a non-community bank model like the correspondent brands, mortgage banks that have higher pricing in order to fund the opportunity to grow and scale, but that comes at the cost of the consumer, right? And the conversion rate drops in my mind in that. So it's like trying to find a messy middle that where one doesn't exist, or a good middle where one doesn't exist. So I entered the messy middle, right? And tried to create it on my own. And started AskLocal and its concierge and marketplace model. Started with an idea of how to
Brad, your audio's cut off.
my back.
Yes, you're back.
I apologize. A phone call. So I entered the process of creating a messy middle that will hopefully become a perfect medium, right? To be able to drive more realtor relationships, more partnerships by giving them a resource that is missing.
Gotta do that again.
I'm sorry. This guy just called me twice. Jeez Louise. So anyway, I entered the messy middle, hopefully trying to create the happy medium that I think the entire lending community needs. It feels like an industry that doesn't really have a spine. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. You can't build the human body without a spine, right? So we have this antiquated, fragmented process of passing people off to other people, and it's just a follow-up madness and different tech that doesn't talk to the just pure chaos in my mind. So here we are, Michael, trying to enter a market that gives the industry, the real estate professionals, a simpler tool to share a better experience for their client and have everything in one place from day one.
Yeah, like you said, it is quite a messy process. I've spoken to other agents who have a similar sentiment. Was there, like a tipping point where you said, enough is enough. I need to try to find a way to scale, refine this, make a better experience for everyone?
Yeah, it really entered. I don't know if you've seen the movie Office Space, but I have this
Yes.
I
Great
have this
movie.
movie in my mind, right? Like it was like 4.5 years ago, and there was a day. I don't have the exact date. I should because I remember it so vividly. But
Yeah.
there's an exact. I got 4 calls on the same question, right? I got a call from the title company. I got a call from the list agent. I got a call from the buyer's agent, and I got a call from the buyers. The same question, right? I'm like, there has to be a better way, right? So that's I dove in to create a system that doesn't require that tail chasing. That was the clarity moment, if you will.
Yeah. And how long has this system been in place now?
We've had it finished off, topped off for about 60 days now. So it has been quite an endeavor. We learned everything not to do, learned the hard way.
Mhm.
Right? And
Yes, sir.
it's the only way you learn. So here we are.
So about 60 days in, so still relatively new, can you talk about any trends, you've seen with it so far and how it's been working?
Yeah. So timing is everything, right? Real estate industry is a hard thing to change, right? People are kind of stuck in their ways. So that has been a growing pain for sure. But the market is changing, and consolidation at a conglomerate level is happening across the board. And people are getting more and more nervous about lead capture, right? Converting their existing sphere and not losing it to things like Google and Rocket and Zillow, et cetera, that are going to have extremely good value propositions to that client. So the idea is, that all these conglomerates are partnering up and portaling up. This gives you the opportunity to do the same and really engage your local market to captivate and make your life easier.
Yeah. And, again, just piggybacking off of that, 60 days in, have you seen any, particular challenges with it so far? I know you said, you learned a little bit what not to do. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, this has been built on live transactions, right? This isn't I've been in my basement thinking something out, right, and just throwing it up against the wall. And this has been built on real live transactions where the agent, the client, and any other pertinent parties are living inside this space from day one. So we've been able to pivot accordingly based on real client needs, right? And that's why it took as long as it did. Where again, just 60 days ago going to market. Now we're seeing agent traction, agent adoption, people resonating with the messaging more because the messaging has been refined and simplified. It's
Yep.
very robust what we have and what we've been building, but it's all about simplicity. And the hardest challenge for me is articulating that simplicity sometimes because I'm so deep in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, anytime you're explaining something, new and exciting like that, it's gonna be can be challenging to, get the point across. Like you said, they're very stuck in their ways, so, they may not they choose to hear what they don't wanna hear, so I can totally understand, where you're coming from in that respect. And, this system, can you talk a little bit about how has AI, played a role in this at all? And have you seen, that affect any, trends by extension in what you're doing and in the industry as well?
100%. So I've seen a lot of AI, and AI is powerful, right? It's changing and it's evolving every day, and it's going to change how we interact and how we work. So, foundationally speaking, the system and the SOC 2, SOC 3 compliant portal has been built with AI as a component of it. And
Yep.
the idea is to get agentic AI in here to empower the local professionals to make the job simpler. So, listen, AI is certainly going, if you're not scared of AI, you don't need to be scared, but you need to adapt and adopt and evolve. Otherwise, it's going to replace those that don't jump in. And this is that again, timing being everything. This is that great. I can plug into this. I can leverage AI and make my life simpler. Is the number one thing here, right? And I think people are very scared that it's going to replace them, and it doesn't have to. It can help them scale, help them make their life easier, right?
Yep.
And I think the humans that plug in are the humans that are going to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't mean to sound biased when I say this, but I'm in complete agreement with you. I mean, yes, AI is going to replace some functions to an extent. I mean, it is going to make life a lot easier, more scalable, like you said. But, there's just some things where you need that human touch, that interaction. I'm not going to, buy a house or, go see a doctor or, maybe talk about my financial plan with just, a robot. You need that human interaction. The AI will help make the process, again, more streamlined, but it can't, ultimately replace it. And that's why, I talk to a lot of folks in the real estate industry in particular, because like you said, they're very set in their ways and AI is here. It's changing things. And in this particular space, it's still pretty, not as saturated as others are. So, that's why I choose to focus on it and ask folks like yourself for their take. And then, getting back to what, you're doing here, 60 days in, it's great so far, got some real traction going. Ideally, where would you like to see, the practice in the next, 6 to 12 months?
So our goal is to get up to a count of 250 real estate agents using it consistently every day, right?
Oh,
So that is the number one metric that we need to hit in the next 90 days.
yep.
And that is the primary focus of what we're doing. So again, very robust. It's one of those things where you start to go down the rabbit hole, you have a eureka moment of how powerful it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say if you had a magic wand, so to speak, and if you could get one correct or improve one thing right now, what would that be?
Well, I think that the adoption and understanding of how this does improve, and this isn't like a software pitch, right? This is an opportunity to partner and change the client's experience and win the future. So getting that adoption, that mentality to shift faster would be the number one thing. If I had that magic wand, I'd be like, see the future, see the next 6 months, right?
Oh,
And it's tough for people to get it, especially industry pros that have done great, will continue to do great, but that are resistant to change, like anybody else. It's human nature.
yeah, I agree with you. And, one thing I like to, always ask folks who come on here because everybody comes from different backgrounds, different niches. Yours in particular is pretty unique with what you're trying to build. Is there, any advice you would give, for an agent or anyone starting out, in the industry today?
Partners, right?
Okay.
Systems and partners. You're going out there and a better way to captivate, and convert your sphere. I think the lead gen models are getting too expensive, right? And
Yep.
people need to start thinking about loaning their local market and how do I do that, right? So, yeah, I would say get ready. It's not as easy as you think, and you better have the systems in order to win tomorrow's client today.
Great. And one last thing I wanted to cover too, with respect to, where you are now, is this local or are you, world
We can go
over the
anywhere.
country?
Yep, we can go anywhere. So we're excited about that.
Okay, great, great. And have you seen just a lot of it locally so far? Have you worked with folks who are more further away?
Well, what's our proof of concept has been in our campaigns, in essence, our recruiting campaigns, right? We have systems to cast out to agents that just started 2 weeks ago. We brought on several agents that are already using the platform and people that are actually winning deals because of it in the last 2 weeks. So that's what's exciting is actually seeing someone other than myself being the mortgage guy, right, using the system to captivate that client and build it in real time, having someone else plug in and be able to captivate their own sphere and actually win the deals because of it.
Yeah, excellent. And does this system, have a formal name, this product, or?
Ask Local Concierge, right?
Yeah,
So anybody from the real estate community looking for more information, it's asklocal.ai, and you can get some more context on the overall model as well from a consumer perspective on asklocal.com.
that's where they can go to, speak with you as well in case they want to partner up or have any general inquiries?
They have the ability to literally, as an agent, go to asklocal.ai, watch a quick video to better understand what it is we do, register for a free client experience inside the secure portal, right? So they come in and they pretend like they're buying a house through it. And immediately, within the first couple minutes, they start to see the power of it, right? And then at that point, they can convert over to a pro concierge account and start using it for their own business.
Sounds pretty straightforward there. And yeah, I encourage anybody listening to go check that out. Brad, we're coming up on time here, but this has been fantastic. You've given listeners a really clear picture of why the real estate transaction, can still be so chaotic and how emerging solutions like Ask Local are trying to fix it with a much better client experience and already incorporating AI in that DNA as well, keeping on top of the emerging trends and the times we're in. So kudos to you on that. Really appreciate you, your product, and thank you again for coming on. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Michael, thank you for the time. Appreciate it, man.